it was probably early 2021 that I just got really sick. It was, as I say, it wasn't an overnight thing. I started developing like pain in my back and pain in different parts of my body. And I just noticed that my body was just slowly shutting down. I lost a lot of weight and my skin just started cracking it. I had stopped getting periods for
Right, your hormone system was totally shot.
Yeah, everything was completely shot. And like the list of symptoms that I developed was off the charts. And I think many can relate, but I was always like, is this normal? After I realized what it was, I was always comparing my symptoms in the early days to be like, I've got, 35 symptoms. Just want to check that all of these are okay with like, I was always wanting to make sure that I wasn't the odd one out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another success interview at CFS Health. I am super chuffed and pumped to speak to Jess from Australia. She went through our Mentorship 3.0 probably over a year ago now, it seems like, around that time. Life's changed dramatically in many ways for the best, and super pumped to have you on to share your story. I so appreciate you doing this because not everyone does do it, wants to do it, can feel nerve-wracking, a little bit scary and a bit overwhelming. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Did you ever think you were going to be on this podcast interview?
Strangely, in my heart, yes. I knew that one day I would get there, not in a too confident way, but yeah, I knew it would be eventually. Maybe not this soon though, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's funny, like so many people when they enroll, they're like, I'm going to be on that podcast one day, from whether it's from years ago or even like, someone enrolled 3 weeks ago and was like, I'm going to be on that podcast because those stories inspired them, you know what I mean, to keep going and do the work. So thank you. Let's get straight into it. Before we talk about all the great stuff, which is happening in your world at the moment, give us a little, intro to you, who you are, and why you're here.
Yeah. Well, so I'm Jess. I live in Adelaide with my husband and my 2 sausage dogs, which is a great pleasure. I'm pregnant, which is fun. 21 weeks and having a baby in July. And yeah, just super grateful to be. Yeah, my kind of journey was, I don't know when to jump into it, but basically I've always been a really high achiever. I think many can probably relate, and a AAA type personality.
Sure.
And yeah, honestly, and yeah, always just a go-getter, like hungry for life, hungry to do well and everything. And now just honestly loving being alive and just enjoying every moment of the day. So yeah, that's me.
How long ago did you fall ill?
Yeah, so it was in early 21 that I fell officially sick, but the warning signal started in late 2020. So it was kind of a bit of a gradual process, but then the very sudden process to becoming ill, I think many can probably relate. So I had kind of gone and done all of this cool stuff, studied, moved overseas and worked in New York City for a bit and done internships all over the place. And I came back to Australia, landed a role in finance, and it was just really stressful, to be honest. And the pressures were a lot on me at the time. And I've always probably had some people-pleasing mentalities and things. Like, I wouldn't say before this experience I was ever a people pleaser, but coming out the back of it, I realized I probably did have those tended. Yeah. And so I actually, the whole thing started, I was kind of like changing jobs and I moved into quite an intense workplace and I was studying my master's, and I just actually graduated my master's while working full time. I did it in half the time, just decided to tackle everything at once. I was like training for triathlons and all sorts and just really, really pushing the limits. But I don't necessarily think it was a capacity thing in terms of how much I was doing, because I've always been a high capacity person, but it was the stress that got me. It was the way that yeah, I think approaching the busyness and seeing it as such a threat. And I just couldn't see it an end in sight. Like I was working 90-hour weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was running 10Ks plus a day. Like I was really pushing it.
Did you
Yeah,
sleep?
it sounds crazy now.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy now. But at the time, everyone was just like, whoa, you're so high capacity. You're so great.
Yeah.
Well, no one ever said that to me, but I remember just feeling, yeah, just like I, at the time thinking I was such a healthy person. I was vegan for 5 years and I've always been naturally healthy, but actually my lifestyle wasn't really healthy when I looked at like my sleep, my stress, yeah, the amount of proteins I was getting, like it just none of it really added up. So
wow.
yeah.
So it's a good recipe for something like chronic fatigue syndrome to come along.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So basically the combination of those things and a very, very intense workplace was what tipped it over, and just a very demanding job with high stress load. And yeah, it was probably early 2021 that I just got really sick. It was, as I say, it wasn't an overnight thing. I started developing like pain in my back and pain in different parts of my body. And I just noticed that my body was just slowly shutting down. I lost a lot of weight and my skin just started cracking it. And you saw the photos of my skin.
Oh yeah, your before and after photos are crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had stopped getting periods for
Right, your hormone system was totally shot.
yeah, everything was completely shot. And like the list of symptoms that I developed was off the charts. And I think many can relate, but I was always like, is this normal? After I realized what it was, I was always comparing my symptoms in the early days to be like, I've got, 35 symptoms. Just want to check that all of these are okay with like, I was always wanting to make sure that I wasn't the odd one out.
So I think a lot of people will relate to that. And it's so interesting because like, whilst at the time it probably feels like doing that's helpful, kind of not,
It's so not. Yeah, it's so not helpful. And that was when I joined CFS. Like, I think the first thing that was discussed was like, no more talking about symptoms. And it's actually so hard when you're in it because, it's your world. You're like, how can I not talk about this when my whole body is just feels like a washing machine of craziness and brokenness, really. So it's hard to not talk about, but it was such an important one for me.
When you enrolled, like, what were you thinking going in? Were you just trying to throw everything at it and just going, well, I've tried all this stuff, I may as well try this too? Or did you come in and go, oh, well, this makes a lot more sense? Like, what was it?
Yeah, well, definitely. And I've said this before, but really the whole kind of there's no one magic pill approach is so true. It's for me, it was all the 1%ers. So I had done some other programs prior to CFS Health, and I could feel myself starting to get into this thing of, oh, that one didn't work, I'm going to try the next one. And I've just spent a lot of money and then the next one didn't work. And then you just like, there's this just desperation in your heart. It's just like, please work. Like, I just want my life back.
Yeah. And
I think that honestly, when I went into CFS Health, that was the state that I was in. I even just going back to the messages with Ash, I was like, is this going to work for me? Like, are you sure? And am I different to everyone else? And I had such desperation. Yeah. And I think coming out the back of was what I realized was, wow, that was some really useful tools and I need to now apply them. And then I actually did something else post CFS that was completely different. And it's just like between the combination of those two in particular, I was able to approach it with, you know what, like I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to learn what I can. And the recovery stories and the videos were so convenient. I just listened to them in the car. Like I think it taught me to take the pressure off and say, like, it's not the program that's going to heal me. It's how I approach the program and how I use the tool.
What you apply. Yeah. Wow. Right? That's pretty huge. Not everyone gets that in the world. Like a lot of people just keep going around in circles because they've been told a lie, which is you have to do my program that's going to get you better versus, hey, there's a program available that helps you help yourself get better.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, not everything resonates with you in the program because there's so many things, which is so amazing. It's like a menu and you get to pick and choose yeah, right. What resonates with your nervous system and how like you can make it work for you. And that's what I felt CFS Health did for me was able to give me those tools. I could jump on the videos and just, me, at the start, I watched every video and you were like, okay, I think you watched enough videos now. Like I was just watching them on the way to work, on the way home, while and I was such a diligent student. And then I remember on one of the calls, I didn't join very many, but you were like, okay, you need to stop watching and start doing now. And it just really resonated with me.
It was a little kick in the butt in the right direction, which everyone needs sometimes.
Oh, in the best way though.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, instead of watching all of the content, let's watch one, let's conquer it, apply, and then let's go to the next topic. And that's what, really helped me.
I remember that vividly actually, because usually this happens anyway. The first month or two, everyone gets super, it doesn't matter what it is. You buy a new car, you get super excited. After 2 months, it's like, oh, it's a car. Like it gets you to A to B, maybe 3 months. It's the same thing with new program. You get excited, you go, I'm all in, I'm 120%, like your AAA personality, you're just like, I'm going to be a good student. I'm going to watch every single video for the sake of watching every single video. And I'm going to get really, really far. And it's like, well, that's actually the slowest way. The fastest way is by going deep into the thing that you need to focus on right now, making those changes and implementing and then noticing the benefits. But what happened with you was crazy because I think it was like maybe early month 2 of being with us. And after I said that to you, of like, seriously, like you don't need to watch everything to get better. You just need to start with the baseline stuff and focus on the thing that you need right now. And I didn't hear from you for a while. You kind of went off and you did your thing, which is what we encourage everyone to do. And then you came back and it was like you were a different person. Like I think it was like month 3.5, maybe 4 months in, you really significantly noticed a change in your body. It was just like you were a different person. The way you spoke, the way you asked questions, you were posting wins, you were celebrating all these things that you were doing, still navigating like life and other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about how the hell did you just decide, all right, I'm not going to try and do everything at once, because this is so common for so many of our members, that they keep going around maybe even 12 months later because they haven't really gotten that diligence and discipline to just stay on the thing they need to change,
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a good point. And like I should say as well, I had already been healing for, 18 months before coming to practice. So, I had been going around in circles as well.
You'd done that.
Yeah, like navigating that whole acceptance, like what is happening here, what is going on. Like that time, I think, can't be underestimated. Really, the first 6 months is almost a blur.
Yeah.
Because you're just learning what's happening. And then you're right. I think like by the time there was just a realization in my heart that was like, I need to actually call myself out when I'm spiraling. And so, I would just, and the mindset stuff was so, so helpful for me, because it's not, when you say mindset, like it's not just, thinking positively, but it's actually doing practical things to help yourself. So whenever I would, feel like I needed to watch another video or whatever, maybe instead of watching a video with all the tools and overwhelm, I maybe would watch listen to a recovery story to just reinvigorate the hope. Or maybe listen to something that's somewhat related, but not just tools all the time, because for me, that was just overwhelming when I had so many, too much. So
well, you were going to the same pattern of the workload, right? Like the 90 hours a week of just like the same. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Isn't it crazy? Like I remember this one time, just at the beginning of CFS Health, I would do like an hour of meditation and then an hour of this, then an hour of that. And if I didn't do it, I would feel almost guilty by the end of the day. But it's like lifting that off and being like, no, for me, meditation just doesn't work very well. Sorry, breath work. It just doesn't work for me very well when I sit and breathe and focus on it too much. It's just not really a tool that resonates with me.
Yeah.
And so I do breath work practice throughout the day. So every time I wash my hands, 3 deep breaths. Every time I get out the shower, 3 deep breaths. So I have like different pockets throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I do mini breath work sessions, but, you know, doing it in this big clump just because others might do that. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what taught me was like, you have to, let it flow in the way that works for your body.
Well, 100%. And like, we never really tell anyone to do it like that, you know, but we can get in our heads sometimes of thinking like the regimented thing. And God, I've spoken to a few clients lately who are going, but I'm doing all the right things.
Yeah, that was me.
A frustration of just like, it's not working. And I'm like, okay, well, like, tell me what you're doing. And it's exactly that. It's trying to tick all these boxes, but it's feeling kind of like jail. It's feeling like, I'm doing the breathing, I'm doing the eating perfectly, I'm very strict, and it's like, no, we're not telling you to do that. Like, that's not actually the process. The process, you know, you're making it a full-time job, and what you're going through already is really, really hard. You don't need another, you know, job on top of the job, basically, you know. So I love that distinction.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly right. And you guys never tell us to do that, but probably because we're all A-type people.
You go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, all right.
Like, I'm 110%. And I think there was a moment with, I think it was with Jess when, you know, I was trying to build up my
specialist. Yeah.
To move and to walk, and I was just so fixated on the baseline, which was so helpful. But she was also like, Jess, the baseline is actually guiding you. And if you feel intuitively within yourself to go a little bit further that day, then, you know, you need to also trust your body and learn the language of the body, because all the symptoms, they're just sensations that are the language of the body, really. And so once you take the fear out of that and say like, if I went for a walk and I got this symptom, rather than seeing it as like, oh my gosh, like I pushed it too far or whatever, seeing it as, okay, like, hello, sensation. Nice to see you again. Yeah, you can go now. And I'm okay. And how good was that walk? Like, that walk felt amazing to me and my body. And even though I'm experiencing this now, like, wow, that walk felt good. And it's just like that mindset blended with the movement. It was a complete game changer for me.
Yeah, because you're regulating your nervous system in the moment of doing appropriate action, you know.
So. Yeah, and that didn't mean I was out running, you know.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. That's why it works, because you were doing the appropriate amount for where you're at in each moment. And then whenever, you know, fear would pop in or a symptom would pop up, you didn't get overwhelmed by it. You just, you know, overcame it by dismissing it as, no, it's okay. It's not a problem. I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's right. Or even just, and, you know, I'm still building my capacity, particularly with running. Like, that's the thing that I haven't fully conquered, which is fine because I'm still getting there.
Yeah.
But
and you've got a baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm still doing little jogs though, which is just
that's amazing. Yeah.
It's like such a miracle. But yeah, even just I had crazy sensitivities to random stuff like cold. Like, I was really sensitive to the cold. So I could go for a walk in the heat and it would be fine. And then the cold suddenly wasn't. It's just not logical, but it's because my nervous system was just so dysregulated. And then, you know, like I ended up being able to go to Finland to minus 30 degrees and go skiing.
That's right. That was a huge milestone.
Yeah, massive milestone. And it was like the mindset thing. So every day in the lead up, just journaling and just thinking that whole mindset thing about, you know, how good does it feel when I breathe in and I can sense the cold air come in my nose and how good it feels to breathe it out and it's warmer. And then, when I'm in Finland, whenever I felt dysregulated or fearful, I could sense that, oh, it feels good. It feels good. And I was completely fine, which is crazy. And now I'm not, like, I've just been through winter and last year and it was totally fine as well. So
Yeah.
it's like what you say about baseline is, it's a really helpful concept.
Yeah, it's a framework. You just need to follow it, appropriately. But baseline isn't a fixated thing, which is what you realized after 6 weeks. It's just like, and when working with Steph, our movement specialist, shout out Steph, you're amazing. Like it's about being adaptable and changeable and flexible, not fixated. The moment you start getting too fixated, you kind of effed. You're screwed. It's stopping you in your tracks.
Yeah. And exactly what you said, like at the beginning, when I first joined, I was so fixated. Like I would write in the thing saying, like, I did this and then I got this specific symptom. Has anyone else
told you not to write the symptoms?
Has anyone else experienced this exact scenario? And it just taught me to like shift my thinking to not focus on the symptoms. And
so good. Yeah, it's a pretty powerful shift. Like, it's normal for you, but what you were really doing is reframing those negative thoughts loops in the moment, pre-framing it as well, not just reframing, but almost pre-framing in advance, which is a pretty cool technique.
Definitely. And even just the gratitude stuff, like it's so, so important. And I think, like for me, healing, and I would call myself healed from...
You don't have chronic fatigue syndrome, Yeah.
Right? But I would still say that I'm healing from just things that have happened in my life and how that experience felt. Like if I get a cold, for example, now, sometimes the fears still pop up like, oh my gosh, is this okay? Or if I have a really week and I do overdo it, I get my body starts to speak to me in sensations and I have to listen to that. Like I am probably a more sensitive being now than I was prior. But it's also like I'm so much gentler and I think I'm a nicer person to be around.
Yeah, your husband might be pretty happy about
that. Yeah, and he's like, oh, I've got my wife back.
Wow.
So,
that's pretty freaking special.
Yeah, no, it's been an incredible journey. And I think the other thing that I learned in the program that was just really helpful is just the belief that you can recover and that's why these podcasts are so, so helpful. And I would just listen to them on repeat, even after I stopped watching all the other videos, months later. Because it's like all of us are inherently built the same, right? And if one person can recover, then I just held on to that belief that I can recover. And whenever that wavered, I would just hold on to other people's hope, like other people's testimonies, and be like, pretend that it's mine, and like use their belief to bridge mine, because it's not always easy to believe that it's possible. You're wavering it all the time.
Yeah, on the top of I've got a quote card deck on I think, did you get these?
Yes.
Yeah, we sent you a pack. Yeah, everyone gets a pack when you're enrolled, and the one on the top of my list right now is success leaves clues, follow it. And it's kind of what you did the whole time. Like if you think about it, you those success stories, and not everyone does this, but I hear this a lot in these interviews where everyone usually says, man, it was like a podcast. I just put it on, I'd listen in the background, and little snippets of inspiration or a new insight or just like kind of copying what they did in a way. Like there's a blueprint that everyone's kind of sharing, and
that's right.
When you're in the suffering, you don't necessarily see the blueprint, but when you start to hear the stories, you link it up and go, that's what they did. Okay. They stopped fixating on baseline, structure and routine. They started reframing the negative thoughts whenever they were popping up, or shift in being, in work, in lifestyle, in your values, and being okay with that, which was, I know, a huge thing for you.
Definitely. And like what you said about that structure and routine, that can't be underestimated. You know, what I was saying before about being too structured, but structure and routine are and consistency, they are the foundation of the healing. So
thank you for sharing that. Like, there's not many people who say it on the podcast. Like, even though that's true for everybody, it's because it's so basic. It's like it's the cornerstone. Like, it's the thing that revolves around everything.
100%, yeah. And I think that sometimes we can get confused with, oh, I'm going to listen to my body. We don't want to do that. Versus, no, you must do this. Like, to me, it was either like, oh, no, I'm going to listen to my sweet body. It needs to lay on the couch and do nothing. And then the next day, I'll be like, right, we're going 110%. And so, like, I found this, honestly, and I found this rhythm where it was like, okay, how do we got like, right? It's the balance where you're like, I'm going to do something every day for me and for my healing. The extent of what that looks like might differ based on my energy, based on my life, but I will always find pockets of rest, and I will always find pockets that I can use the tools in, no matter what. Like that has to be weaved into the whole day, and not just in 1 hour of healing in the morning. Like, it has to be weaved into your lifestyle.
Yeah. This is music to my ears, man. Like, honestly, preach it, because it's just so true. And it's like, you're right. Like, there's the black and the white. It's like, you don't want to get into the point of like, well, I must listen to every symptom I've got or every body response I get and just, far out. Like, you'll probably stay in bed forever, right? Like, I always say, you can't wait to get better. You have to start now to get better later.
Yeah,
that's a true saying. But then, like you said, there's that 110% personality that says, all right, go, you were lazy yesterday, you didn't do anything yesterday, so you better go and do something today. And you found that gray spot, the sweet spot in the middle, which is what baseline is, finding your sweet spot in every moment.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there's so many, and like, there's just so many parts of it. But yeah, I would just encourage people just to like work, like, belief, getting rid of the fear is number one for me. Like, it was when I joined CFS Help, I was still fearful of my symptoms, and I was like, oh, what is that feeling? And by the end of it, it was like, I could notice it in my body. I wouldn't ignore it and shove it down and be like, you're not experiencing this. Like, I would acknowledge it in the body, but I wouldn't allow it to generate more fear, because it's like a vicious cycle. And it was in that 3 months that I learned how to kind of conquer that. And yeah, the acceptance thing was one other thing that I do recall you sharing with me, was just, it's possible to accept where you're at without kind of giving in to it.
Yes.
Like, accepting where you're at today and saying, okay, this isn't where I want to be, but accepting that this is where I'm at doesn't mean that you're giving up on healing. But it was such a big thing for me, because, I would just constantly overdo it and try to go for a run and be like, I will not accept that this is my life. I will not accept that this is my future, and I will do everything in my power. But actually, that was stopping me from moving forward for probably 6, like even a year, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's relatively a short period of time for majority of people, in the sense of some people don't accept for 10, 15, 20 years. Like, they just keep this fight. There's this fight going on within themselves in the battle, and fighting is exhausting. I don't know if you've ever wrestled anyone before, but it's a tough sport. There's a lot of sweat. There's a lot of sweat pretty quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But because it is pretty hard to accept, I think one of the things, what you're sharing here, is what you resist persists. So, like, you were resisting the fact to accept it, but then the problem kept persisting, in the sense of you'd push yourself, you'd end up, and you just like back and forth, and you're wondering, why the frick is this going on? It's because what you're resisting is going to persist.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. I was like, I will not accept this. I'm going to go back to work full time. I'm going to try to do all this stuff. And it was just like a wasted 1.5 years, that first bit of just resisting. And And yeah, it was really when I joined the program from there on and learning about all the tools and then also how to regulate my nervous system, and that looks different for everyone. But, the body is such a beautiful being, and I've read so many books on the brain, and I just, I'm so grateful that I was able to have an experience that I can actually heal from. And yeah, it's not the case for everybody, like stress and illness can be in so many forms. And this is like, once you've gone through the valley, only those of us, like only certain people get it. It's painful, it's heavy, it's dark. But like, have hope that there is light, there is light, and it is possible. And what a joy it was for me to hold on to that hope that it is possible to heal. So I don't know.
You're amazing. I mean, it's an incredible story. It all makes sense to me. Like, I don't think anything is lost from that resistance and persistence for a year and a half. Like, I feel like you have to go through that period. Like, it's just not, maybe it could have been a little bit quicker potentially, but it's like you can't if you said to me, Toby, I just can't accept this. And I say, Jess, just accept it. And you go, but I can't, like you can't just flip overnight. It's a process.
Yeah, that's right. And that was the same when we were trying for a baby, like I was like, I remember saying, I'm not healed enough to be a mum. I'm not healed enough to go into that phase of my life, which I so desperately longed for.
Wow.
From the moment that I fell sick. So yeah, it's basically 3 years. And
I feel like this illness has been the best thing for you, because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have been much of a mother doing 90 hours a week and running 10 kilometers a day. Like, where were you going to have a baby? Like, poor baby would have just been sitting on its own. But like, it's amazing how life works in a way. Isn't it fascinating that you've gone through this period, but you're also coming out a different person, and now you are having a baby? I just find that so fascinating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm not, my career is not where I want it to be. And that's how I know this is perfect.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
Because the old me would have never had a baby, like wanted a baby without being a certain level in my career. So that's how I know it's perfectly ordained. It's just in the best. Yeah.
Just some cool milestones. Tell us some milestones that you've been able to do on your journey, like even throughout CFS Health, like when you were there, like the skiing, even your skin was getting better. Like, tell us some of the wins that you had just for the I guess the journey of progression.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's so many things, but I think I'm so afraid of stress, and I was like, I can't. Like, I just can't. If a friend was having a drama, I'll be like, I don't need to hear it, or not because I don't love them, but because I was so protective of myself. So the big one was being able to take in stresses from work or home life or whatever it may be, and friends, and even taking on that was a big win for me, because I started to notice I was more interested in other things. And then obviously outside of myself, I mean, it wasn't so like thinking
focus on yourself. Yeah, exactly. It's actually part of the healing process is to take the focus away from yourself onto other people.
Yeah, which was so beautiful, and I just love that. And I went to Finland, which was so cool. We went dog sledding, skiing.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember
that. Doing all that stuff. We went to Switzerland, and Josh and I then had Christmas Day in Paris, which was just honestly a dream. A dream come true. So we were loving that. And then that was while I was in the program.
Yes, I remember.
I reduced my work hours, which is a massive win. I'd say that's a milestone to me, because I've always been a big career woman. So actually reducing my hours was a massive milestone. And that was one of the big things that enabled me to move forward. And just obviously moving my body more, and I do fitness class now a few times a week, and I'm in group classes, which is a massive win. Yeah. And then I've traveled as well. Like, we've traveled all over the place. And then we just recently went to Japan on a ski trip, and I was able to walk around all the cities, pregnant and energetic. I've got some friends that are pregnant and they're like, oh, pregnancy is so tiring. I'm like, this is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
So, yeah, it's been such a joy. And yeah, I think the main thing is just getting my sparkle back, which has just been such a blessing.
Yeah. It's so beautiful to see. Yeah, it's just awesome. I love doing these interviews, and I love hearing and seeing all the different personalities, but your one sticks out really cool because I just know the first 6 weeks of you starting CFS Health wasn't great in the sense of like, overcomplication, stressing about it. Is this working? All the symptoms and getting caught up. And then I vividly remember you jumping on one of our, personalized group coaching sessions, and you asked the question and we had a bit of coaching going on. And it was just such a shit. Like it was literally, you took it. Obviously we know you're an action taker, like, from your entire history of being a human, but you really just like, all right, I've got it. And you can't, you went off and applied, and you just step by step started to move forwards. And yeah, listening to the success stories and and doing everything else that you did, putting the pieces of the puzzle together one by one was obviously, what worked. As we wrap up, I've got 2 questions for you. One, for the members who are here with us right now, who are watching this, and maybe they're losing hope. Maybe they've been doing this, the merry-go-round for 12 months, and they're like, like I'm doing it perfect, but it's not working. What would you recommend to them? Because I feel like you've got great experience in this to share your truth,
Yeah. Well, yeah, firstly, just like acknowledging that it is really difficult. And I think sometimes when I would watch the success stories, I would be like, yeah, but mine was so bad. So just acknowledging that, like, I thought that I was broken beyond repair. I honestly didn't think that it was possible in those early days. I was like, I am just completely a write-off. But yeah, just to encourage and say that you're not broken at all. You're just dysregulated, and that is more than possible to heal from. So yeah, I would say that. Yeah, what was the question?
No, that's perfect. You answered it. Just what would you say to members who, I think, to realize that you're not broken is a pretty powerful.
Yeah, you're not broken, and like you're innately designed to heal. Like your body is always working for you. So I think that was the thing. I always felt like my body was working against me in those early days, and going like, oh, not again, it's just given up on me again. But actually seeing it as like every dip or, setback is an opportunity to reconnect with the body. And the thing is, it's like, it's got to be body up, which is the movement and, the somatics and all of that, but it has to be mind down. So it's that beautiful combination where you learn so much about your body and your mind, and it can't just be one thing. Yeah, it's not just the one thing. It's the combination of everything. And probably the other thing I would say is just be true to yourself, because I think when we aren't true to ourselves and we're doing something that doesn't feel right in our heart, that's again the resistance thing. Yeah.
So good, Jess.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
No, of course. I think that those are my things. If you have like a spirituality as well, or a faith or a religion, you can weave that in as well. And that was something that was really important to me. And it's nice to kind of integrate that into your healing as well. So yeah, that was really important for me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think I see that a lot as well. A lot of people, find their thing and weave it in. I love the word weave. You've said that a few today, and
I know I said it many times.
No, it's great. No, because it's true. The secret sauce is in the weaving of, and no, honestly, like it is, and that's why I wanted to get you on this show, because we weaved so well. Like I watched you weave and dance with recovery, and you did it like an art. and, you know, maybe it was like the 3 years or the 2 years of like, you know, the struggle, and it was like perfect timing for you, and there was lots of little things over that stacked up. But once you went through that initial crappy 6 weeks of, you know, doing it the wrong way, not what you did, but how you did it, and you changed your approach, it was just like you weaved all these things into your life, and you know, you didn't make the program of your life, you made your life, and the program was part of your life. You weaved it in, and that was why you succeeded. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think exactly finding the pockets of joy, like what I said about being true to yourself. So for me, like I love dancing. And so I would just put on whenever I had fear or whenever I was thinking, well, what is going on? You know, I would just put on music. And even if I just didn't really dance much, but I just, you know, either visualized dancing
yes,
to get the feels, or, you know, eventually I actually would just dance around the house and finding things that bring you joy, if that's volunteering or if that's maybe just watching your favorite movie. If it brings you joy and it really fills your cup, those things are so important. Even just sitting outside and listening to the birds or whatever it is that brings you joy, I definitely think that was also a big part.
totally. Yeah, we're big on that for sure. You can weave it in now. You don't have to wait later. You know, I think that's the message there. Amazing. Last question is for people who are watching this, you know, on the fence or like, you know, wondering they really want to join, but they're scared, they're skeptical, they've tried a million different things. You know, do you have any words for them as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think I like to use this kind of motto is why not? You know, why not just give it a go? Like the thing is, as I said, it's the way you approach it. So if you're coming into it going like, this is going to fix everything and this program and this, but actually if you come into it with like, you know what, I'm just going to give it a go and I'm just going to just move through the program. I'm going to connect with beautiful people that are journeying the same thing as me. Oh, the community, I also must say.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot to mention that. But actually just connecting with people that get it is so, because like Josh he's my best friend, my husband, and I'm like, I couldn't have done it without him. But as much as he tried to understand, you know,
of course,
there's only so much. Yeah. But also I'm so glad that he was there for me. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Community is everything. So I would say go for it. Why not? Why not? That's what I ended up doing, and it really, really helped me on my way.
So good. Jess, thanks for coming on. You are a breath of fresh air. I'm so pleased for you. You know, you deserve you deserve what you've got in your life, you know, for having the courage to keep going and navigating and changing and tweaking. And yeah, my wish for you is that you just keep enjoying life and especially cherish, you know, this next phase and chapter, which is fresh, new and exciting.
Thank you. No, honestly, it's such a pleasure and I just can't thank you enough. And yeah, I'm excited to journey this life with you and everyone. So yeah, blessings.
Thank you. We'll stay in touch. But for everyone else, you know, share some love for Jess. She's been amazing to jump on and do this. So appreciate you.
Okay.
Au revoir. Thank you.